Hello, friends. We're talking today about how Black women can move abroad before the next election, how you can have a home in a different country before the next election, or at least the next inauguration. If this is going to be particularly interesting to women in the United States, but some others of y'all will want to hear this too. If you're a person who is not into taking an action towards your freedom and you just want to stick around and see how things go, you're not going to enjoy this conversation. You don't need to tell us in the comments that your people built this country and you're not going anywhere. You can just watch a different video, okay? We have some other videos on our YouTube channel that are going to be more interesting to you. This video is in particular for Black women who are ready to take some action to get themselves and their families out of the United States. Okay, well.
And this is also, I want to say, a video for women who may not know what action to take, right? So they think about doing something different. They don't want to be here to see what happens in 2024 and 2025, but they don't necessarily know what to do to make a move. And so we're here to talk about that today.
Welcome. We are the creators of Exodus Summit. My name is Stephanie Perry. I'm a house sitter, the creator of House Sitter School also. I'm a house sitter, and I am a person who likes to do as little as possible. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Roshida Dow, also a co-creator of Exodus Summit. I am a career break coach, the creator of From Burnout to Bliss, a group coaching program that helps women take career breaks and move abroad. Welcome.
Please make sure that you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Exodus Summit is a virtual event and on in-person event and other things for Black women who are ready to start planning their sabbatical, their move abroad, some nomad bopping around the world. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also turn on notifications. Please ring the notification bell so that you'll be notified when we post a new video or when we go live. All right, let's get into it. Roshida does not live in the United States already. So let's start there. Let's talk about you let's talk about where you live today and what it's like being a person who sees things happening in the US, but isn't in the US anymore.
That's actually a really great question, because being able to see the world outside of the lens of the US news is really eye-opening. And it's really also important to me to be in a place where the politics of the US, which I've been entrenched in almost my entire life, have not no impact on me, because the United States has its claws everywhere, but less impact on me than if I was living in the States. We've been living with 20 years of incredible gun violence. And every time something happens, we hear thoughts and prayers and we never see any actions being taken. And to live in a place where, like most places in the world, like this is not, I live in Mexico, but this is not just a I live in Mexico thing. This is most places in the world. When they have one mass shooting, they change the laws.
Yes.
In America, they're like, but the gun companies pay us, so why would we do anything about it? You just got to die. And there's so many different ways in which the answer in America is you get the short end of the stick, right? You can't you can't not pay back your student loans. Well, we got these billions for a war. We can't feed you. You're going to be hungry. You're going to be homeless. But we have money to send to other countries who are at war or recovering from war. And in the sense that when you're abroad, it's so interesting to see how other people do it, how other countries have safety nets for their people, how they prioritize communities and families in ways that America never has changed the way I view the world.
That's right. I was in Australia right before the lead up to the 2016 election. And the white Australians are racist people, okay? But they're also people there is a pocket of Australians who are very bitter about the fact that the government took away their guns. They had one mass shooting, and Australians are not allowed individually to have weapons, to have these automatic weapons, to have these, mass shooting weapons. And there's a pocket of Australians who are really upset about it. But that was eye-opening for me to see, like, oh, there are countries where the government can actually do something. There are countries where the government actually has a concern about the life of individual people.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the beginning of me saying, oh, my country sucks, right? Yes, I'm from the United States. Yes, I'm a US Army veteran, but this place sucks. This place does not care about me. It does not care about us. I think that getting to see what things are like in other places was really the beginning, really eye-opening for me. I haven't moved abroad yet. I'm in the process of moving to Costa Rica as we speak. Like, I'm in Costa Rica right now. But that was the beginning of me being like, this is not a place for me. This is not a place that I would want any Black woman to still be. I hope that we can work on our exodus. And so this is why Exodus Summit exists. Roshida and I have a perspective from the other side that a lot of us don't know exists. A lot of Black women have been working so hard in the struggle, right? In the struggle in the United States for equality, in the struggle in the United States for freedom, in the struggle in the United States for better treatment, that we don't know that there are places where you can just pick up and go and receive and have those things. There's a difference between working here to struggle for them and just going somewhere else and having them.
Right. Now, when you mentioned Costa Rica, what it made me think about was medical care, because medical care I think in Costa Rica is nationalized to some extent, where there is a system where if you're in the country, if you're a resident, you just get medical care.
You just get medical care. Yeah, they have they have a universal healthcare system, and residents of Costa Rica are in. You can also opt in for a private, more like, I don't know about more robust, but a more private, higher end healthcare access. But yeah, they just have universal healthcare. And this is Costa Rica. It's a pretty small country. It's not, it's not an economic giant.
No. And because most countries in the world prioritize healthcare for their people. I honestly, like, I see all the time that people are like, wait, y'all got to pay it? Like, whatever people, I see people posting their medical bills on the internet. There's always people from England or other countries in the comments like, what kind of backwater stuff is this? Like, y'all got to pay what, like $30,000 to have a kid sometimes? Like, what are these numbers? And it's like, yes, this is what it is in America. And we're so used to being told that America is a superpower. So if we have to pay this much for healthcare here, and we get the level of care that we get, it must be just garbage in other places. And that's just not true.
No.
It's just not true. Like, when I'll never forget going to an eye doctor in Mexico, who I think was from Cuba or maybe the Dominican. I don't remember. And when I got there, I was talking about how, like, usually in the US, I'm waiting for hours to see my retinal specialist.
Yeah.
And she was like, but that's like on the public system, right? I'm like, no, I pay them hundreds of dollars or thousands sometimes. And for the privilege of paying them thousands of dollars for a 5-minute appointment, I have to wait like 3 or 4 hours in the waiting room. And she was like, that's not real. And I was like, that's real. But like, other people can't even fathom how bad it is because America is so amazing. And one of the reasons that this is coming up for us now, like it's sitting on our spirits now, is, at least for me, and I haven't talked to Stephanie about this part, but we always talk about like what's going to happen in the next election. I have been voting since a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever felt the sheer disgust about elections and the lack of hope that I'm feeling right now. The knowing in advance that all of our options are going to be terrible, and the best of the worst is still not acceptable.
That's right. The best of the worst is still approving of things in your name as an American that you detest, right? Even the best choice is co-signing genocide today.
Today.
In your name,
I'm
our
hoping
name.
you'll forget about it by the time next November rolls around. I won't forget. I'll never forget.
So leaving the United States doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that you are going to fix things for the United States, right? You have to be okay, I think, with saying, I've got to prioritize me and mine. I think we're really tied up, Black women. We're really caught up in the idea of doing for other people. But there has to be a time when you have to prioritize yourself and your family.
Yes.
I understand how hard it can be to let go of a struggle, to let go of the work that you've been doing, to let go of the struggle. But when is it going to be your turn? When is it going to be your time? And when do you get to say, when after all of that struggle, what are you getting in compensation? What are you getting in return? Do you feel like you are the work that you're doing is creating any kind of progress?
And even if you're not able to move by the next, when they inaugurate whichever of the terrible choices it's going to be, right? Who you know does not care about you. Like, I think at this point, thinking that the politicians who represent you, at least on the federal level, care about you at all is just lunacy. Like, it's just, we have seen they do not care about us. They are like, where are the brown people of the world that we can grind under our foot? Where are they? Like, it feels like there's not enough colonialism in the world. Let's right, like, let's go out there and do some more, right? Like capitalism, colonialism. And if you can't move by November, which is right around the corner, can you move by January? And if you can't move by January, can you have a plan in place so that you don't feel like everything is lost when they when they hit the gavel or whatever they do, the bell, put the magic hat on him, whatever's going to happen to, girl, I don't know, to, whatever happens when we get our new president and our new, because listen, Congress is a mess too, right? Like, what actions can you take by the time the next inaugurations happen so that you don't feel what you're feeling today, if you're feeling those pains today? I know that in 2016, I was living in the US, the election happened, and I think I was numb between November, whatever, 5th, 7th, whatever, in 2016 to January, whatever, when the inauguration happened. I was just like, this can't, like, where's the do-over? Like, what are we doing? Because this does, like, my brain can't handle what's happening here. There's no way that man is going to be the president. There's no way. Doesn't make any sense. And to live in a world where this is our reality, right? And our choices get like literally worse every year. In my adult life, our choices have gotten worse every year, right? Even Bush Sr. had a more empathetic view on what's going on in the Middle East than Biden, which blows my mind. Senior won all that, right? Like, let's not forget, he was kind of nonsense garbage too, but like, it has gotten worse and worse and worse. And I know a lot of people want their children to grow up by their grandparents, to grow up but with the family, to grow up in the city they grew up in. But those cities don't exist now, and they're not going to exist for much longer, right? In the sense that, like, the safety that you may have felt as a child, your child probably does not feel that now.
No.
Right? The ability to play outside all day long and then come in, you probably don't let your child do that now because you're too worried. Mm-hmm. Right? They don't have the same life, and that's not going to come back to America in the next 20 years.
No.
Your children aren't, what you're setting them up for doesn't exist. And can we talk about the economy? Or are we just not going? Because, child, the money ain't money in. It's jobs are working overtime to treat you worse and pay you less, right? Mm-hmm. And then everybody outside is like,
rent is too damn high.
Rent is too damn high. What is the highest price we can charge for eggs? Y'all price gouging on eggs. You don't even feed them chickens. Like, what's happening? Like, all these companies are going out of their way to get as much money as they can from you. And some people are like, yeah, that's capitalism. That's what's supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. But, like, no, that's not how it works in other countries. My eggs in Mexico, then prices never went up, right? Mm-hmm. And that's not because it's this great country that doesn't have capitalism. It's because the balance of greed and, like, people's living standards is a little more even than it is in America, where it's completely out of whack in ways you just don't see in other countries.
That's right. So let's break down 4 actions that you can take if you want to get yourself out, yourself and your family out. If you want to move abroad before the next presidential election or before the next inauguration, let's talk about some action steps. First, you can look at countries that will give you residency, countries where you already qualify for residency. Mm-hmm. When Roshida and I start talking about moving abroad, sometimes people think you need citizenship in another country. No, unless you are a descendant of a person from that country, it's pretty difficult to get citizenship in a lot of parts of the world.
I mean, you can get married and do some other stuff, have a baby in some places that'll give it to you, but that's work. Tying yourself to a man or a child?
So instead, do your Googles. There are countries list out the requirements to get temporary residency or permanent residency in their country. You need to know what their qualifications are and what the process is, and is this a place that you're interested in checking out? This list may not necessarily be an order, but it's a thing that you're going to want to do.
I want to say about residency, a lot of times people think it's harder than it actually is. Yeah. When Stephanie says do your Google, she really means it. Like, figure out what you need in order to qualify for residency in the country you want to go to. We're not all going to want to go to the same country. And you will hear people telling you that your country is a bad idea because they don't like Black people or women aren't free. I hear this all the time about Mexico. Women aren't free there. Women aren't safe there. Where are women safe? Please. Do they like Black people in America? Because Streets is saying they don't, right? Like, where are the places I can go where, as a Black woman, I am loved and revered? Mm-hmm. And don't tell me Africa, because that may be true in some places, but it's also very untrue in some other places, right? Like those 54 countries, they're not all on the same, they're not all holding hands through this journey of how to treat people who come from foreign, right? And come there, especially if you are Black, but not from the country, if you are a woman, if you are queer, all of those things play a role in how you'll be treated around the world. So choose a place that's interesting to you, do some research, see what's going on, right? And see what residency will take.
Next, you're going to want to figure out how you're going to support yourself in another country, because it's probably not moving there and getting a traditional job. Mm-hmm. In most places, just like in the United States, they don't want foreigners coming in and taking over jobs. So you're not going to find, in most places, you're not going to find it easy or worthwhile trying to find a job in that country. This can mean you take the job you already have, you take it remote if they'll allow it. Mm-hmm. Or finding a different remote job may mean living on investment income you already have. Mm-hmm. letting go of the purse strings and using the money that you save for this particular time in your life. It may mean we go ahead and retiring and getting access to your retirement benefits. But moving abroad doesn't have to mean getting a job abroad. So you're going to want to figure out how you're going to support yourself in another country, how you're going to pay the bills, what is the cost of living, and how are you going to make that money. I want to put a little caveat in here that moving abroad before the next election doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go somewhere and stay somewhere permanently forever and ever, right? Some of you will want to be somewhere for a few years, right? But some of you will want to make a more long-term move.
Right. And some of you like to date these countries. You're in one country 1 week, next month you're in another country, 2 months later you're in another country, and we fully support that. And in that situation, like, you don't really need residency. If you're traveling on a US passport, you can get into most countries around the world for 3 to 6 months without just showing up at the door. Just show up at the airport. Now, that's not every country. Do your Googles. But you can show up in a lot of places and stay 3 to 6 months on the US passport, because one thing about it, it is powerful, right?
Okay, so next step, I think step number 3 is figure out what you're going to do with your stuff in the US.
Ooh,
make a plan for your home, your apartment, your condo, your whatever. Lots of options out here. We're not here to tell you what is a good option and what is a bad option. This is super individual. Some people sell their homes and go. Use that money to live for years, years and years. Other people rent the home out. Some people put it on Airbnb. Some people put a family member in there. You could even put a house sitter in there. If you just want to be gone for 6 to 12 months, maybe a couple house sitters will do the trick. But there's some options, but you do want to figure out a plan for your home and your stuff. It's okay so normally we're very anti-storage on this channel. We're very anti putting your things in storage for good reason. We see women put things in storage and they're paying on that storage for 4 years, 5 years, don't remember what's in the storage container. When they finally go back to empty it out, they don't want most of that stuff anyway. But it's okay, Roshida, we love you. But there is such a thing as I've got to go.
I've got to go.
If your peace of mind if your sanity is dependent upon you getting out, do what you need to do today, right? To get yourself in the best position. And then you can work some things out later. Leaving the country, moving abroad doesn't mean you never step foot back in the United States. So if you have to come back and fix some things and clean some things up later, you do what works best for you. We're not here to prescribe steps for you. We're here to give you some ideas.
Yes. I spoke to a client yesterday that their physical doctor and their mental doctor both told them that their job was going to kill them.
Yeah.
And they're still they're still hesitant to take the big steps. And there's valid reasons for the hesitancy. But I want you to know that there are a lot more of you are in that position and just haven't had the doctors tell you the truth, right? You haven't had the doctors who care enough about you to tell you, but if you stay in this job, if you stay in this stressful country, if you stay where you're stuck, you're going to die where you're stuck. It's time to think outside of the box. It's time to think of outside of the place where you're stuck, right? With that woman, it was like, if you know this job is going to kill you, what are the steps you're willing to take to stay alive?
Yeah.
Right? Who are you willing to disappoint?
Yeah.
Who are you willing to upset? Because you need to be alive a little bit longer. You need to be alive for your children. You need to be alive for your family. You need to be alive for yourself. Someone has to hear no, right? Someone who benefits, that's a loose term, from you being stuck has to get upset, right? But you have to make a move if you're going to survive. And I think a lot more of us are in that position, and we just don't. I was definitely in that position. I know that job would have killed me at like 40 if I stuck around. I had to leave.
Where we are pro you taking actions towards what you want for yourself, what you need for yourself. And that means that you may have to do some things that other people would not approve of. Even some things that old you would not have done, would not have
Mm-hmm.
done. Okay. So the fourth thing that you're going to want to do, fourth action step thing that you can do today is get in community with people who are on a similar path, on a similar journey. Get in community with people who are looking to move abroad or have already moved abroad. There are expat communities and future expat communities all over the internet where doing something a different way is commonplace.
Mm-hmm.
If you know when you go and tell your friends or your family that you're leaving the United States, you're going to get a whole bunch of fear mongering and other stuff. Get in community with people who are going to balance that out, who are going to help you embrace this new change.
Mm-hmm.
Roshida and I happen to know one of the very best community
The best.
for you.
For Black women who aren't afraid to use Facebook, because I understand. We have a group called Exodus Summit. You can find it at exodussummit.com/community. That will bring you directly to our Facebook group. And it is a place where Black women show up every day in support of what their sister wants, right? It may not be what I want, right? Some of y'all are moving to places and I'm like, well, I wouldn't want to go there, but you do. So yay, right? Like, yay, you did your scouting trip, or yay, you're working on your residency, or yay, you're bopping around to places I never even considered before, right? Like, and so being in community with women who want nothing more than for you to win at what you're doing and for them to win at what they're doing, and knowing that we can all win because no one's in competition with anybody else it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful place to be. It's very supportive. It's my favorite place on the internet. It really is a place where Black women are safe. It's a safe space for Black women to share their dreams. And it's a place where we are valued and a place where we are uplifted. And I really love that for us.
Yes. Exodus Summit is at exodussummit.com/community. Or of course, you can go to the link in the description of this video, or if you go onto Facebook, just look for Exodus Summit. Okay, we're more than 12,000 Black women strong. So there is a movement of Black women who are in the process or who have already left the country, right? For long periods of time, or for shorter sabbaticals, or for permanent moves abroad, or for anything in between. So you are welcome, Black women. You are welcome to join this community. It's a place where you can go and ask your questions, get help, and also celebrate some wins. And, it's a wonderful, wonderful community.
And this is a community for you, even if you don't feel like you're going to move in the next 6 months or the next year or anything like that. There's space for you if it's just an idea that's like kind of itching your brain back there. If you're like, I kind of like the idea, but I don't see how I can make it happen. This is the place for you to watch women as they show you how they made it happen.
Yes. That's right. Okay, so we've named the 4 actions you can take. We're going to also give you a couple of resources that can help you take these actions a little more smoothly, right? A little faster. So we've talked about researching residency. We've talked about figuring out how you're going to support yourself in another country, making a plan for your stuff, and getting community. Roshida and I created an event that brings in speakers, Black women speakers, to teach you how to do these things. That event is called Exodus Summit, just like everything else we do, surprise. But it's an annual conference that just happened in October and was so phenomenally transformative for the women who attended the summit that we want to make sure that you know that it's out here in the world, it still exists, and that you can still get the good help, the good teaching, the good learning from the summit, even though it happened in October. At exodussummit.com, you'll see information about the individual sessions, but we wanted to talk about a couple of them that are probably most relevant to you today if you're here watching this video. So we've talked about healthcare. We had a wonderful panel during the summit, the 2023 Exodus Summit. We had a wonderful panel on healthcare abroad and how much more phenomenally easy and inexpensive the experience has been for Black women who have either moved abroad or who are visiting in other countries. So that session on healthcare, if you're just starting to think about moving abroad or leaving the country for a long period of time, the panel that we did in Exodus Summit 2023 on getting healthcare abroad will really help ease your mind, right? It will help alleviate some of that fear, because for a lot of us, our access to health insurance through our jobs is a reason that we don't want to leave the country or leave our job, when in other places, your access to healthcare is not tied to a job.
Yeah.
And so you don't need to worry about having a job to have healthcare.
Another talk that happened at Exodus Summit 2023 is a talk on safety,
Yeah.
living and traveling safely abroad, because you may not be scared, but your family is probably like, what do you mean you're going to go to Malaysia? What do they do over there? What's happening? Lisa James did an excellent talk this year at Exodus Summit 2023 about how to navigate throughout different parts of the world safely and respectfully and wholly, bringing yourself everywhere you go and bringing yourself in a way that you are confident that you are going to be as safe as anyone can ever be, right? Where you're not, safety isn't something holding you back from making a decision, because we know safety is an illusion to begin with, right? But whatever things that you can do in order to increase your level of safety around the world.
That's right. We had a session on multi-generational moves abroad. So those of you who are moms who have been listening to this, but you're like, I just can't, I have kids. Not true. Plenty of Black women are moving abroad, and including single Black women, moving abroad with their children and with their school-age children, young child-age children. Our session this year had 2 different moms who had, I think 6 kids combined or something like that. A lot of kids. A lot of kids.
5 or 6.
Yeah. Who are doing a combination of different ways to school their kids in another country. For you, probably schooling your kids abroad isn't as scary as it would have been a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. So now you know your kids can go to school on Zoom, or you can teach them right here face to face at the dining room table. So it may not be as scary as it once was, but that session on multi-generational moves abroad from the 2023 summit will be really helpful to those of you who are concerned about moving with little people, or also moving with senior. You may have some senior parents, so that information will still be helpful. Having different generations go with you.
One of the things that I really like seeing in the world right now is I'm seeing these communities of Black children being schooled collectively in different places around the world. And I know there's a lot of fear about taking your children abroad, but imagine like your child living somewhere where you guys can walk to the beach every day, and they can be in community with other Black children and learning what you want them to learn in a safe and loving environment.
Yeah,
I think it's
where they can be kids.
Where they get to be kids, where they get to not worry about who's coming through the door, where they feel safe, and where they, as Black children, are valued and cared for.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Love it, love it, love it. We also have a session we also have a subject that we've covered in Exodus Summit a few different times that you're going to be really interested in. We've talked about remote work in Exodus Summit 2022 and Exodus Summit 2023. Libria Jones, who's the remote work queen, came in 2022 and taught us how to approach remote job searching, how to separate ourselves from our job title, get clear on our actual skill set, and find a truly remote job, a job that does not care where we are in the world, not a work from home job. Mm-hmm. And then, so that was Exodus Summit 2022. In Exodus Summit 2023, Libria came in and taught us how to use AI tools to supercharge our search. It's a new day out here. How to use artificial intelligence, how to use these new tools that are on the internet to get to work for you. We've already had testimonials from women who attended the summit this year who are getting more like callbacks and interviews scheduled in the few weeks since the last summit than they've had in the entire year. Mm-hmm. So the remote work search sessions from 2022 and 2023 are super helpful. Good news is we have put together a bundle of the 2022 and 2023 summit so that you can watch sessions from both summits and get your Move Abroad plan together. Exodus Summit 2022 had the theme Move Abroad Money. It was all about money. Exodus Summit 2023 was location freedom, financial freedom, and time freedom for Black women. You put those things together and you can be out of the country before the next election or next inauguration.
So Exodus Summit 2022 was all about making money and different ways to make money that were mostly location agnostic. You'd be anywhere in the world to do that. Exodus Summit 2023, the theme was freedom, and it was about really digging into what you want and making what you want happen for you. And these two together have been so powerful, and we've seen so many changes happening from women that I think this is like, this is the cheat code. This bundle is the cheat code. There's something else I wanted to mention about Exodus Summit 2023 that we didn't mention yet. One of the speakers spoke about getting full-time pay for part-time work. And really, the money's important, great. But the thing that I thought was really special about her story was that she takes off months at a time every year. She'll work for a number of months and then take a number of months off, work for a number of months, take a number of months off. If you don't think you can work, because she at this point cannot work in other countries, but she can leave and be anywhere in the world she wants to be for months at a time because she has created a schedule for herself that does that. And we talked to her about how she did that in the summit.
Yeah, that was really eye-opening. Roshida knew it was going to be a powerful session before it happened, and she was right. It was eye-opening to a lot of women, right? How to, Okay, so ExodusSummit.com is where you go to get the bundle from Exodus Summit 22 and Exodus Summit 2023 sessions. You're going to sit down, watch those sessions, and get your plan together. Get your residency, income, community, and plan for your stuff together so that you can be out. Roshida and I want to make sure that you understand that this is something that you can do. It may seem like scary. Oh, well, no, it is scary. It may seem very intimidating. It may seem like this is a thing for a different type of person, but it's a thing that you can do. We're not exceptional. We're two people who did these steps, made our plan, and then made our exits.
Our exodus.
Yes.
So if you don't know where to start, click on the link below and look at what's included in Exodus Summit 2022 and 2023. Honestly, we hear from people all the time that these two of them together are the things that made a difference in their life. And I want you to make a change in your life. If you feel stuck, if you feel unhappy, I want you to make a change in your life. And I know that for a lot of Black women, this is a tool to help them. And I know because I'm in the community in ExodusSummit.com. So if you don't believe us, here's the thing. If you don't believe us, join ExodusSummit.com/community. Our Facebook group is right there. Join the group and ask the women in the group. Ask the questions or scroll through the posts and see what they're saying. Because it's, the two of us saying it now, but between those two summits, thousands of women have attended, right? And they are in the group to tell you that it is a difference maker. And I want that for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please take a second, hit the like button, and share it with a Black woman who is also ready to get her plan together, her exit plan, her exodus underway. All right. Please take a second and do those things. If you have a question that we didn't answer, go ahead and ask us in the comments of this video, but we're probably going to direct you to ExodusSummit.com or ExodusSummit.com/community for the resources.
Yes. All right. You got this. Inauguration, you'll be out. Or at least have a plan. You'll have a ticket. You'll do something. I believe in you.
You can do it.
You can do it.
Bye.
Bye.